right, the battle for survival continues in the English Premier League. Big questions, rather, asking for answers. With teams like Everton, Leicester City, Southampton, and to a large extent, Nottingham Forest to remain in the Premier League come next season? That's a billion-dollar question. Welcome to the show this morning. It is Sports Spring on Western Spring Television, and my name is Joseph Atewe.
And of course, the bright lights of the Bernabeu will shine down on another thrilling contest in the UEFA Champions League between Real Madrid and, of course, Manchester City. Now, aside from that, we also hear that the Burkina Faso coach is talking tough ahead of the Under-17 AFCON clash between the Golden Eaglets of Nigeria as well as the Burkina Faso team. Now, more stories coming your way. I am Nengi Ernest Ademola, and thanks for joining us this morning.
All right, let's start from the local scene, and we start with the Golden Eaglets as they have arrived Algiers. I talk about the Under-17 African Cup of Nations.
Exactly.
The through to the quarterfinals, aside battling for the ticket, they're also battling for a World Cup slot there.
Yeah.
And they have a very difficult team in front of them in Burkina Faso.
And just to add to that, Nigeria's Golden Eaglets have arrived in Algiers ahead of their Thursday quarterfinal clash with the Burkina Faso at the ongoing CAF Under-17 African Nations Cup. Now, the five-time world champions played all their group matches in Constantine, but we will now move to Algiers for the important quarterfinal tie with Burkina Faso. Nigeria finished second with 6 points from 3 games in Group B and faced a Group C runners-up, Burkina Faso, who gathered 3 points from 2 games. South Sudan, the 4th team in Group C, were disqualified from the competition after 5 of their players failed the compulsory magnetic resonance imaging, that's a MRI test, leaving only Cameroon, Burkina Faso, and group winners Mali, who had 6 points, having beaten Cameroon and Burkina Faso. Now, Nigeria will on Thursday fight for the semi-final and World Cup ticket against Burkina Faso at the Nelson Mandela Stadium, Algiers. All semi-finalists will represent Africa at the 2023 FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Now, that also brings us to the fact that the Burkina Faso coach is talking tough ahead of that particular clash to come on Thursday. And I think, Joseph, at this point, this was the same thing. This was the same mind game that the coach of South Africa team, actually played on Nigeria. And at the end of the day, it did end in our favor. And following their 2-1 victory over Cameroon in their last group stage match of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations on Sunday, head coach of Burkina Faso's Under-17 team, in person of Brahima Traore, said the team is now focused on their quarterfinal game against the Golden Eaglets. Now, the 49-year-old tactician praised the side for their resilience and doggedness in their game against Cameroon, which earned them a spot in the last 8. In his post-match comment, he said, "When we considered the first goal, we just changed our system and tactics to be more attacking. We put pressure on them and scored the 2 goals. Is this the same thing they hope on doing to the Golden Eaglets of Nigeria, Joseph?"
Well, the Haitians head coach was asked ahead of the 2018 World Cup, and in the press conference prior to that game, it was asked by journalist Omar Katugba, and he asked him, do you see your team winning the title? And he said, yes, and they all laughed. And of course, the first game, they were beating 7 goals to nothing. But then as a coach, you definitely want to lift the spirit of your team,
exactly,
saying that you will get the job done. You and I know, as I said yesterday, that the Burkina Faso team on all level does not have the record of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And see, history has a way of coming back to play its course in every tournament. And the same thing happened between Arsenal and Newcastle in that one. The same thing has happened. We've seen it time again and again. And I feel like Burkina Faso is doing the right thing. He is the coach. He has to, give the fans and the players hope rather that anything is possible. But truth be told, we've seen the Golden Eaglets play. We know what they're capable of. The only team to have defeated them will be Morocco. Yeah. And we know the game plan that has been on for all the national teams in Morocco. So it's normal for him to say it, but I think the Golden Eaglets will clinch the title, the ticket for the World Cup. But then the battle starts at the semi-final stage, because the big boys will start coming back again. Teams like Morocco, these guys will be coming back, Senegal. So I feel like he's only playing mind games, just as rightly stated. And Nigeria should seal this.
Definitely, every other team in the Under-17 AFCON is fighting to get a ticket for the World Cup. But we'll see how it pans out to be, and definitely good luck to the boys come on Thursday, where they will take on Burkina Faso. Now, moving ahead of that one, Joseph, let's also talk about the Under-20 World Cup. Now, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria will trade tackles with Colombia Under-20 national team on Tuesday which is today, 16th May, Tuesday, 16th May, and in preparation ahead of their 2023 FIFA World Cup group opener against Dominican Republic. Now, a particular site reports that Nigeria are drawn in Group D. Definitely we know about that, with Dominican Republic, Italy, and Brazil, where only the two top teams progress to the knockout stages, and the international friendly game is necessary to further intensify their preparations, particularly when they will face a similar South American team, and that is Brazil. And meanwhile, the 2015 African champions will lock horns with a local football club in Argentina before next Tuesday's international friendly game against Colombia. And I tell you for sure that when it comes to friendly games preceding a major competition, the under-20 boys are known for that. Of course, we did talk about the fact that I think they underwent about 19 or thereabout friendly games before they went for the under-20 AFCON. And of course, most of those games did pay off, because you see it's a normal phenomenon, to be involved in one or two friendly games before a major competition.
Well, if you look at the friendly these guys played, they played teams like academies, rather.
Yeah, Deluxe FC, Capital FC,
yeah, so
and the likes.
Expected that a team like the Flying Eagles would definitely get the win, but this is a bigger one. They're playing the Colombian national team, and that's very difficult. And the South Americans, they know how to play good football. Yep. So it's a good test. Now, this is a proper test for the guys ahead of the big stage, which is the Under-21 World Cup. These are no academies, as I said earlier. Yep. This is the Colombian national team. Not favorites to win the competition, not even much favorites, but I believe these guys will push them to the wall, and it's left for the coach in Ladan Bosso, to be able to watch the loopholes and select the quality legs that would kickstart those games. Yeah. The most important part will be getting the first 11, having the first 11 you can bank on. These guys, for example, look at club sides. You and I can tell who and who will start and who will be on the bench. Exactly. Except something happens and they have to draft in a new leg there. So that is something they will need to pick out. This is my first 11. These are guys that can get the job done. But I'm sure he must have been doing that on the training pitch. But then we can all sit here and just say we wish them all the best once again as they take on the Colombian national team going into the main competition proper.
And just to add to that, they hosted the South American Championships, from which 4 teams qualified for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, scheduled from 20th May to 11th June. And they did not just succeed in their aim to qualify for the showpiece event, but proved themselves to be a team with heart, balance, and talent. And of course, those are the kind of things we need to play preceding this major tournament. So all the best to them.
All right, this is President Muhammad Buhari is expected to declare open the 2023 Commonwealth Youth and Students Game in Abuja on the 9th of May, which is today, following his approval of Nigeria to host the summit. The Honorable Minister of Sport and Youth Development on the diary in his office in Abuja, and that was on Monday, stated that the summit is jointly organized by the Youth Division of the Commonwealth Secretariat and the Commonwealth Youth Program in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development in Nigeria. He went on to say or stated that the summit is an international forum where young people interact with heads of government and make direct input into the commitment towards the development of the youth and their countries. That therefore called on the youth to remain focused so as to derive maximum benefit from the summit with a view to contributing positively to the social-economic development of the African region. And of course, news coming our way also states that the minister informed further that a total of about 5,000 young people from 21 African countries within the Commonwealth, as well as 5 heads of government, 11 ministers of youth from selected African countries, and other notable leaders expected at the summit. And we can tell you for sure that they have already started arriving Abuja, Nigeria. And moving away from that one, Joseph, let's talk about a news, something that has been on ground is concerning a particular athlete that has represented us across all levels. And that's no other than Blessing Okagbare. And the updates coming from the Punch newspaper this time is that a Texas therapist faces up to 10 years in prison after pleading guilty on Monday to supplying performance-enhancing drugs to Olympic athletes, including banned Nigeria sprinter Blessing Okagbare. Now, this is what the U.S. authorities said. Now, Eric Lira, a naturopathic therapist based in the city of El Paso, is the first individual to be convicted under a new U.S. law introduced in the wake of Russia's state-backed Olympic doping scandals. Now, the Department of Justice said this
In a statement, the 2020 law, named after Russian whistleblower Grigory, enables U.S. authorities to prosecute individuals involved in international doping fraud conspiracies. And Lira was found to have supplied drugs to Okagbare in the build-up to the pandemic-delayed Tokyo Olympics in 2021. And Okagbare, who was subsequently banned from the sport for 10 years, was expelled from Tokyo Olympics just before the women's 100 semi-finals after it emerged she had tested positive for human growth hormones in an out-of-competition test in Slovakia before the games, Joseph.
Well, a new development here, and the law will take its course, no doubt about that. And, you know, it's a sign that these things have been happening. You have many of these doctors, because of the much they know they can make from athletes, you know, deceive these girls and, of course, the guys that these are good to go. And, you know, sometimes it might be from what they drink, it might be from what they eat, and, you know, they become ineligible to participate. But sometimes they don't know, and they randomly carry out tests, and that has cost a Blessing Okagbare, Nigeria's finest, if not Africa's finest, and which is something that still hurts at the moment. So I'm sure Nigerians, and most especially sport lovers, will be waiting to see the outcome of this case. And as we said earlier, she faces up to 10 years behind bars.
And you know, after completing 10 years, now we're not talking about the person who supplied these drugs, but for Blessing Okagbare, I do not think that she would be fit enough to even want to continue her career after the whole ban is done. And that is what it does. I mean, pushing your career to the very tail end, and of course to the very block end of it. But just like you've rightly stated, we'll keep tabs on that one and see how it unfolds.
This is throughout the years, the UFC has had several fantastic athletes, but Alex Pereira undoubtedly is one of the most captivating, I beg your pardon, to watch. Now, the former two-division glory kickboxing champion from Brazil is renowned for his devastating power and aggressive fighting style. However, his recent loss to Israel Adesanya at the UFC 287 has raised questions about his future in the UFC middleweight division. In recent remarks on Alex Pereira's future in the UFC President Dana White has said he anticipates the fighter to go to the light heavyweight class. Now, there's this news that the UFC boss has dismissed Adesanya and the Pereira trilogy. That's a meeting for the third time.
Exactly, and that's because we've been having news rumors around social media and also some newspapers talking about the fact that they would want to go into another fight just to prove who is actually better, due to the fact that the very last time Adesanya, you know, won through a knockout, and people were of the opinion that for some time now, I think that they were also thinking that Pereira was actually better than Israel Adesanya. But definitely, just like Joseph has rightly stated, they've come out to dismiss that particular fight between Adesanya and also Pereira.
All right, that's some of the major stories making headlines on the local scene. We need to go on a break here and give you highlights from some of the matches that were played yesterday. As we said, some of these teams are beginning to show why their Premier League stuff no one wants to go down. But then from Victor Osimhen on Sunday to what's his name right now, Taiwo Awoniyi, it got a brace, and that might have saved Northern Forest from relegating. We'll be back.